Good morning. I hope everybody's doing good. I wanted to get on here, do a quick video, kind of something. I don't know if you guys know about me a lot of times, and I'll let people jump on here. If you guys can see me, please let me know. That's kind of what helps get this message out. And a lot of times I speak from my heart. And a lot of times there's topics that come to me that I feel that they're important. So that's why I want to bring them up to us and just to have a conversation. And I think what's happening, in the country and around the world is something that we should be, paying attention to because that's, there's a lot to unpack here. And so obviously I don't want to take too much time, but I want to be kind of efficient with the use of my time and your time. And so, we're talking about, what's been on my heart. And I know there's a lot of us that are kind of watching what's happening. So I'm glad you guys are tuning in. Hey, Larry, thanks for tuning in. Thank you guys. And so, hey, Robert. And so what I want to talk about is obviously preparation, right? And obviously I want to preface this. This is not like a tinfoil hat type situation for me. This is something where, as gun owners, as people that, carry guns for personal protection, the mindset is, we're constantly preparing for the event something were to happen, and our hope is that it never gets to that point, right? So we always have a plan. The best gunfight that we can always get into is the one we can avoid. But what's happening in society is it's becoming increasingly more violent, and so that's where I want to have this conversation. And obviously this is not legal advice. This is just something that I do in my own life. And so I want you guys to kind of think about this. Maybe if you guys do this stuff already, it's great. If not, let's figure out how to tighten up our game. And so when I talk about tightening up our game, and let's kind of paint this picture. And I've been seeing a lot of chatter, from Hamas and Hezbollah, and they're talking about tomorrow being this national or this worldwide day of violence, basically. And obviously you can believe it, you could not believe it. I'm going to take it with a grain of sand, but I'm going to make sure that I set myself up for success in this situation, right? And so, some of the stuff that I've seen from people all over the country is obviously watching big crowds of people. If there's a thing that I don't need to do on tomorrow, maybe skip it. And part of it is mitigating risk, right? So everything we're trying to do when it comes to carrying a gun for personal protection or to defend our families and inside of our home or outside our phone, we have to mitigate risk, right? And so if that means we don't go to the mall, we don't go watch a movie on a Friday night because there's a big group of people in typically a gun-free zone, then maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we just stay home. And it's not because we're afraid, it's because we're better off being safe than sorry. And as gun owners, as people that carry guns, we're not out there looking for a fight. And our guns typically serve a defensive purpose only. And so that's what I want to talk about is, what are you doing today to make sure that if something were to happen tomorrow, and when I say tomorrow, it could be 2 weeks from now, it could be 3 weeks from now, it could be never, it could be 10 years from now. What are you doing today to change up tactics that you do currently to make sure that obviously you're up to speed when it comes to the ever evolving threats that we face? So there's things that I incorporate in my everyday routine to make sure that I'm safe. And part of it is, what I love about the fall or the wintertime, I'm able to obviously wear heavier clothing. I'm able to carry a bigger gun. I'm able to conceal more on my person, which is really, really good for the safety of me, the people directly in my yeah, absolutely. That's that right there. There's the ultimate prep right there. Okay. So the one thing I learned from 2020 with the COVID was, my toilet paper is a currency and my ammunition is a currency, right? So I have stopped, like everybody was burning and rioting and protesting, everything like this. I was loading ammunition. I was preparing, buying my toilet paper. I was putting it up. I have a good stockpile of toilet paper. And, and so, that's just something that I've done in my own life is to make sure that I have the goods, because it was wild. And I remember 2020 is watching people stand out line just to buy toilet paper. I've never seen so many people become unhinged because of toilet paper, and it was wild. And so that was like, I'm filing that away and I'm making sure that I'm not putting myself in that situation. And so really, really important is, So bigger guns, more ammunition. And so typically what I'm going, what I'm carrying on my person is I have a blade, I have a flashlight. I also have a full size firearm, handgun, Glock 17 with a weapon mounted light. Mine has an optic on there. Some people are using optics. I mean, it all depends on your comfort level, your level of training. I have a really good inside the waistband holster that I carry. Medical is a really, really important thing. So if you guys don't have, there's stop the bleed classes, which are really, really great. And so medical training is really critical. And I always have a tourniquet with me or a basic. I actually in the fall and winter time, I actually have an ankle kit that I'm able. So instead of carrying like an ankle gun, I would carry an ankle kit, which has, chest seals, it has tourniquet, it has combat gauze, and it has gloves. And so, that's something that's really, really important is medicals. In reality, I'm more likely to use my medical than I am my firearm. And, we look at the data, I could come across a car accident or something like that, on my way home. And so being able to stop bleeding is really, really important. Okay. So, that's something, I'm very, very conscious of is the medical, when I'm going out into public, right? So I have a planned route of where I'm going to go. Right. And I try to stay on that route. When I'm going into like, let's say if I have to go to a grocery store to get some groceries before I head home, so, I'm always, as I come in the store, I know kind of where my exit points are, right? Just in case something were to happen. And it's not because I'm so like paranoid. It's just a mindset, and we have to develop this mindset and know that we don't know when this bad thing is going to happen or if it's going to happen, but we always have to have a plan just in case, because, worst case scenario is you have it and you don't need it, but heaven forbid something were to happen, especially if they're calling for all this violence, so just something to be aware of. And this is why it was on my heart. And it is something that I wanted to talk about with you guys to make sure that, we're all on the same page. Right. So, depending on where we're going. So if I have to go to work, many companies, depending on, their policy, they might not allow you to carry a gun when you're at work. Okay. So you might have to either, secure the firearm inside the vehicle. There's good, safe options for that. I do recommend a safe inside the vehicle just because that helps prevent theft. Most of these criminals are getting guns that are left in a glove compartment, a center console, or under a driver's seat. So be really, really mindful of that, because you're going to be liable under Oregon state law now because of 554, which requires you to have that gun properly stored when it's not on your person. But also if it's stolen and used in the commission of a crime, you can be held liable for that too. And so that's something to really, really think about. So I go into work. Is there a policy where I can carry a gun or cannot carry a gun? So if I'm disarmed, having things close by, and knowing and having a plan like to get out of the building if something were to happen. Some of the bigger companies, they will have like a rally point or rendezvous point if something were to happen, like a fire or something like that. So they have a meetup point. And so, that's something to think about. And so obviously, can I lock the doors? Is my office open to the public? Okay. So that's another thing that's kind of a concern is if I have the public coming in and out of my business, my place of business, that's where I'm vulnerable. So, making sure that, door chimes are great, so you can hear people coming into the office, and it's just kind of an alert there, so you can kind of see what's going on, maybe check out and see if somebody just needs help, or if there's somebody there that's got some bad intentions. So that's all. This is all stuff that's really, really important to think about. And so inside of my my place of business, it's like, okay, how do I get out of this situation? What can I do to fight back if something were to happen? So this is part of this mindset that we're trying to develop, is to make sure that we hope nothing ever happens, but we have to understand that, law enforcement is at capacity right now. They're understaffed. There's certain crimes, there's certain places of the state that they're not even going to. And so that's what's really, really important to understand is the fact that, you might be on your own for a while. And so situational awareness. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin, for bringing that up. Situational awareness is really, really important. Okay. So getting outside of my vehicle, get out of my vehicle. I do a quick, scan of my mirrors. Okay. I can look 5, 10, 25, typically maybe depending on the parking lot, up to 50 feet, depending on the lighting conditions, and to see if there is anybody just hanging out. If there is somebody that, is there somebody that's just there that shouldn't be there. So just be aware of your surroundings. Okay. The whole point of being aware of my surroundings is it gives me time to react to prevent me from having to use my firearm. So if I can see somebody that might be questionable and I can give them space buys me time, time will help keep me safe. And, ultimately we are not looking for gunfights. Okay. So we are looking for a way to get home to our family, keep our family safe, and making sure that, we are safe, and that's the goal here. And I really, really, this is something that was on my heart last night as I'm watching, what's happening in the Middle East, and how, there's a good chance it could come here. I mean, we have a porous border. We have millions of people that have come across the border. We don't know who they are. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. The whole point of this video is not to scare anybody. I want people awake, and I know from what we've done as a group, you guys are awake. And so, there's a difference between being woke and awake, so we are awake. There's a difference. And so part of the preparation is just making sure we have the tools that are available to us to make sure that we're safe. Rifles are a very effective tool. Okay. The only issue I always typically would have, depending on where especially if I'm traveling, I always have a truck gun. Okay. Truck gun is a rifle, multiple 30-round magazines, for my protection. And the rifle gives me greater effective range. It's more effective than the handgun. So my handgun gives me the time I need to get to my rifle. The rifle's the one that's really can do the end all be all, right? I can do so many different things with my rifle. And so, knowing the zero of my rifle, making sure my optics are zeroed properly is really, really important. There's a lot of stuff this is going to be kind of a refresher for you guys. Probably all do this, but this is stuff I'm just bringing up for conversation. And so, lights, weapon mounted lights on the handgun are really, really good. Understand if I take out my weapon mounted light just to look for that bump in the night, technically I'm brandishing my firearm, so I have to be really, really careful there. Okay. So that's why I always have a separate handheld light. And so, my handheld light is what I can identify. Is that a valid threat? If it's just a cat or a raccoon, problem solved. I don't have to go to my firearm. But if it's a bad guy, then there's things that I can do. I can either de-escalate or I can escalate. Having the ability and the mindset and the wherewithal to de-escalate the situation is really, really important. And so, that's where I'm understanding, things that I can do to, give me time to make sure that I can deal with this situation appropriately, because I don't want to be on the wrong side of the law here. And, so that's why training is really, really important. And so I'm bringing this up just because I know a lot of this stuff is gonna be like, you guys know this stuff. A lot of you guys are practicing what I preach, which I really, really appreciate, because you guys are part of the solution here. And I went for a walk last weekend. It was sunny. I had my dog. I was walking. I saw a guy open carrying a gun because he took his shirt off because it was hot out. It was great. And I was carrying a gun concealed, and I'm walking my dog, and I have my AirPods in. And I said, "Hey, thanks for being armed." He goes, "Oh, thank you." You know what I mean? Because we're all on the same team, right? So I'm carrying a gun. He doesn't know I'm carrying a gun. He's carrying a gun. I know he's carrying a gun because it's open carry, but we're on the same team. So yay. And so I like seeing guns in public. That is a deterrent for bad people to do bad things. Typically, it could make you be a potential victim. So you got to be careful of that. You got to be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you keep secure possession of your firearm when you're open carrying. So there's a thing there. So there's a lot of things that are really, really important to do when it comes to this stuff. And so we talked about the office. We talked about in public. And, so now let's talk about inside our home. Okay. So inside of our home, outside lighting is really, really important. Okay. So have the ability that you can light up the outside of your home, because the whole point of this is you don't want your home to look like a target. Okay. So if I have good lighting on the outside of my home, typically those Ring cameras, the blink cameras, those are a great option. Those are another form of a deterrent. And so those are a great option. Shrubbery around the exterior of your home, keep it, trimmed up so it's not used as a hiding spot for people. And just be aware of that, and locks on the windows, some of the, lower windows on my home. Typically I would put a rod in the window just to make sure that nobody can open up that window. And so that's going to keep people out of the home. The door, like our exterior doors, we should have really good, 3-inch screws in that strike plate, because typically that's when home invasion, they're going to figure out a way to kick that door in. And so, make sure that door and that door frame is reinforced properly. That's going to give you time, because typically what would happen is, boom, they're going to kick the door. Boom, they kick it again. If they can't get in, if they get a couple kicks to the door and nothing happens, they can't get in, they're probably going to get out of they're probably going to leave. Okay. And so in this situation, really, really important is that's going to give you time to get to either your primary or secondary firearm. Okay. So primary inside of my home typically is going to be my handgun, because it's more portable. I can get to it quickly. Okay. I can have it readily available. It has a light already on it, so it comes out of the holster, out of its security, and then I can identify, is that a valid threat? Okay, what's that threat doing? Can I de-escalate that situation? So these are all things that I got to think about, right? And so is it my kid? So I got to know, inside of my home, where are my kids sleeping? I got to know what's cover inside the home. I also got to know what's concealed, which is inside the home. Those are going to be really, really important for when I'm in public as well. As I got to know what's going to be concealment, what's going to be cover. Typically, concealment is something that would hide me from an attacker, and there's more concealment inside the home. And cover is going to be something that's going to stop those incoming rounds. And so, typically inside the home, there's very few places that are true cover. So just be aware of that. There's more cover, inside of out around my vehicle. There's points on the vehicle that are good cover. In public, you just got to be aware there's not a lot of huge. The pillars are good cover, but it's just my handgun's a little bit different when I'm in public, right? So I'm not actively my gun is designed to protect me in that situation and give me the defense I need. I'm really kind of leery about engagements unless that person's really close to me or I can get to them safely. And legally to stop that threat. So, and this is stuff where this is not legal advice. You have to understand always. And one thing I want you guys to understand here, be an asset, not a liability. Everything that we do, we be an asset to society. Don't be a liability. Okay. And so, I know, for my comfort level, because I don't want to either be shot by another concealed carrier or off-duty law enforcement. So I'm really, really careful in the way I would interact when it comes to like an active killing event in society in like a public place. So just understand there's a lot that goes on there, and there's a lot of bad things that could go wrong for you. And so, that's something to talk about and think about. And if you're with a partner, if you're a husband, wife, typically what I would do is have, the same caliber of bullet, right? If you can carry the same, platform, that'd be great, because that way those magazines are interchangeable, right? So if heaven forbid something were to happen to me, if I had a partner with me that had the same, if I carry a Glock 19 or I carry a Glock 17, she carries, a Glock 19. That Glock 19 won't work in my gun, but my magazine would work in her gun, so that's just something to think about there, is redundancy, one is none, two is one. Okay. So if we can have extra capability and extra ammunition, it's just like insurance. That's the way I look at it. It's just like insurance. So, that's just something to think about. And so inside of the home is know where my neighbors are, depending on how close a proximity they are to me, is in what caliber round I'm shooting. If I grab a rifle, rifles have greater penetration. It could go through multiple walls. It could go outside of my home. It could do weird things, could hit studs. It could do weird things. And so, yeah, that's something that's really, really important is being able to, how close is my neighbor? Shotgun is a really, really effective tool. So a quality handgun that I can conceal carry or use for home defense, super important. If a semi-automatic, really, really important. Okay. Have more capability, a more effective range. It's more lethal. Those are a great tool. Okay. So highly recommend that. Pump action shotgun, great effective tool, very devastating close range. Obviously the limitations to the pump action shotgun is going to be my tube magazine and how much ammunition I can hold. So just something to think about, and so these are all things that I want you to kind of, do a mental check today. If you can do one thing for me today, is look at your situation. If you see this video and this stuff strikes home with you, and if you have it and you just put it up and you haven't thought about it in a while, get it out, take a look at, check the condition of it, Make sure your bolt carrier group's got lube on it. Make sure it's not dry. Maybe do a quick maintenance on the guns. And I'm not saying that anything's going to happen tomorrow, but I want to be prepared just in case. Okay. And I'm going to change my daily routine tomorrow just because of the stuff that I'm seeing. And I'm concerned about copycats. I'm concerned about all sorts of different things, people that are going to be looking for attention and they're going to do dumb things and bad things. And so obviously, and it's not because I'm scared. I just don't want to put myself in that position. Okay. And so that's the tricky one. And I'll get to my questions in just a little bit. Okay. So Jim, I'll come back to you. Okay. So give me 1 second. Let me finish my thought. So homes. So a lot of times what I'm doing as well is I don't let the fuel tank get too low on my vehicles, right? So just in case something were to happen, I can bug out, right? Depending on the situation. So I don't let my tanks on the vehicles get, below. I typically, a third left to a half is when I top them off. And so that's what's really, really important though, is make sure you have a plan. And typically if I'm traveling, I do have plates, I have helmet, I have everything that I would need just in case. And I have that with me. And so probably, typically what I'm doing is, I have, but the trick is keeping everything out of sight, make sure everything's secure. Okay. Really, really important is we do not want to arm people that do not have the right or the ability to have the gun. So we got to be really, really smart when it comes to concealment of the gun. Also, proper storage and security of the gun is really, really important. And so the security aspect when it comes to our firearms, especially we're talking like Jim had a great question right here. Is there is some manufacturers, they do make a lock. I've seen them where there's try Gray Man Tactical. They make a great panel. I have one of those in my vehicle where I can put a rifle and secure it to this rack that sits on the back of my passenger seat. And so that's where the muzzle's point a safe direction. I could have the rifle staged depending on where I'm going, or, but that's not something I would leave in the vehicle. Okay. This is like if I'm going from point A to point B, right? So really, really careful is making sure people can't see that rifle's with you, because you don't want to freak anybody out, but you also don't want to give criminals a way to take your gun from you. Okay. So that's really, really important. I really like the Vertex. They have a Vikings tactical rifle scabbard. Super great product. I use that. I have probably 10 or 12 different Vertex bags. They are my favorite. And all of those backpacks that I have a ballistic panel in them. So that's another thing. I have a form of, I can put it on the front of me, I can put it on the back of me. It's a backpack, and I have a ballistic panel. Obviously it's not going to stop a rifle, but handgun will give me the ability that it'll stop a handgun round. And so just something to think about. And so lights are great. Medical, and typically when I'm on the road, like I have a medical kit, I have redundancy of everything. And so magazines, I don't want to totally give everything away because I don't want people knowing. So some of the stuff I got to be careful about, because I really don't want to like totally talk everything. But if you guys want to come, offline and ask any kind of questions, some of the stuff I'm going to kind of keep it private just because for my own security. So operational security is really, really important. But, obviously for what I'm trying to do today is just kind of get us all on the same page. So chest rigs are great. Okay. I love chest rigs. The one I have is made by Haley Strategic. I can carry, 4 30-round magazines. I can have 4 pistol mags. I also have shotgun cards in mine, because I do, depending on where I'm going, I will carry a shotgun as well. So I'll have, and that's just part of the deal, right? And it's not because I'm hoping to use it. It's a different tool in the toolbox. Okay. That's the whole thing here is, just like plumbers, electricians, they have tools and toolboxes. For a prepared citizen like we are, we have different tools that do different things. Okay. And it's not because we're paranoid. It's not because we're scared. It's because we're prepared. Okay. And that's the one thing that I want to leave upon you guys today is we're prepared, not scared. Okay. And so when we're talking about prepared, we're prepared for every contingency. Right. And so, and there's a lot that goes into this. Okay. And so, how's our ammo supply? That's another thing to think about, and with a, like, we're getting ready for a global conflict right now, is components. Do you do any reloading? I mean, how's your primer supply? How is your powder? Let's, heaven forbid, something were to happen with those ammo factories. And let's say they started cranking out NATO stuff to go feed the NATO war machine. What's going to happen to our local supplies? And so, something to think about is, I mean, it doesn't go back. Keep it in I keep it in an ammo can. I keep it typically inside the home. That way it's acclimated. It'll last forever. And so that's just something that I have it. I don't like, it's like a currency. So, that's kind of where I'm at, and I hope if there's anything else you want me to kind of cover, but this is kind of the thing is, and maybe change up our routes, do different things, if you're going, especially for ladies, that's really, really important, is so I'm not tracked. I'm not patterned. I change up my routine. That way, if somebody's, and so, yeah, 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 100%. I'm not going to admit how much toilet paper I have, because it would probably, you guys would be like, you're crazy, but it's like I bought it and I've just sat on it. And so, yeah, absolutely. That's good. So keep it, keep your powder dry. There's a reason for that. Okay. And it's, this stuff is it's just part of the game, and it's just part of this preparation. We have rifles that do different things. Like I have, rifles that I would use inside my home, with suppressors. That's a really effective tool. If you don't have a suppressor, I mean, there's quite a background check, and there's quite a process to get it. But like with a 300 blackout, like I use for the house, I can shoot inside my home without hearing protection. It's in a sonic bullet. You know what I mean? So and that's another tool in the toolbox. So yeah. Yeah, toilet paper does not expire. Okay, it does not. So, I hope all this stuff makes sense, and I hope this stuff is remedial for you guys. I hope this stuff you guys are already incorporating in your daily routine. It's just something that I felt compelled to talk about, and especially with what you're talking about tomorrow. I would imagine that most law enforcement around the state are going to be on alert, and but it's our job, as we can fill that void as prepared citizens. And it's also important to know Oregon Revised Statute. Okay. So Oregon Revised Statutes, I could put the Oregon Revised Statute in here, and it's legal for me to perform what's called a citizen's arrest. So I can detain somebody. I don't have that statute offhand, but I will put it in the video. So there's a way and so we're talking about networks. Like, do we know our neighbors? Are we close with our neighbors? Do our neighbors have the same sort of capability that we have? Okay. That's a really, really important to know, is the networks in your local community. Do you have, backup radios? Do you have, those Bofongs? I have a satellite phone just in case. Okay. I can get out if the grid goes down, and I can get a landline with a satellite phone. So this is just all stuff that's part of this preparation process. And, how's our water supply? How's our food supply? Do we have a couple weeks or a couple months of extra food and water? That's something to think about. And, just having this network, this close community, where if something were to happen, you guys can all lean on each other to make sure that you can keep your community safe and your family safe. That's going to be a really, really important part. And so obviously we hope and we pray that it doesn't happen, but we want to have a plan just in case. And so that was the whole point of this video. Is I hope this video resonated with you guys, because I obviously I wasn't trying to scare people. I just kind of want you guys to kind of see like the way my mind thinks about this stuff. And obviously there's guys that have more capability than I do and more training than I do, and do things a little bit more differently because of their mindsets and their training. There's nothing wrong with that. And so we all bring, different pieces to this equation. And at the end of the day, we all want people safe. That's why we have guns, and that's why we carry a gun. And so, today, just make sure that you just put a little mind into and just a little attention to detail when it comes to tightening up, because you hope nothing happens tomorrow. So that's kind of where I'm at. A great holster, really, really important. A sling for my rifle, super important. The optic, the weapon mounted light, and the sling are really the most important part of my rifle. And a good trigger. Good trigger is really important as well. So, but we can, the flash hider, muzzle brake, the suppressor, they all work together. And so, thank you, Jim. I really hope, and I really hope it doesn't get to this point. Okay. I really hope it doesn't get to this point. Okay. I really don't. My problem is blue states, blue policies have put us in this position where it's really put us in a spot where us, the gun owner, we're going to be vulnerable because of all of this stuff. And so at the end of the day, they can ban, they can restrict, they can regulate, but the thing they forget to realize is they can never do anything about evil intent, and they can never do about anything about the mental illness or the drug abuse, and so that's what's really, really important to know. Also fanaticals, like what's happening with Hamas. These people, they're not right in the head because of their religious beliefs. And everybody's entitled to their religious belief. I get it. But if you're going to behead babies and like that stuff is sick, and so I don't want to talk too much about it and be too graphic, but dang, just understand the enemy. Really, really important. So I hope that all came out in the way I needed to say. And so, redundancy. One is none, two is one. Have my mags. I have my mags stage. I have them loaded. You can go either to capacity or keep them just under capacity to make it easier on the feed lips if you're using a PMag. And so, that's something to think about, and that also makes it easy for me to see, seat that magazine in the mag well. So, so yeah, Hamas. Yes. So I feel a sense of responsibility here with you guys because of the trust that you've put in me over the last year, where if I say something, if something is on my heart, like I don't want to be afraid to say it and talk about it. And especially this is something that's a little bit different than we typically talk about, because we're typically talking about gun rights and how we stop this stuff. But like in this reality that we're living in currently in the next couple of days, it's important that we all know. Absolutely right there. It's you always got to sharpen the skills. Iron sharpens iron. Really, really important. Okay. So I take classes, I need to do more. There's things that I need, but I spend a lot of time, running an organization. I spend a lot of time doing stuff to help my state. You know what I mean? So there's things that I could do better. And I admit that there's a lot of things that I could tighten up, but the one thing I won't change is my mindset, attention to details, right? I'm always thinking about this stuff. It's something that's part of my routine. And so, that's something that's really, really, and also vet your instructors. Okay. Really, really important. There's people that are doing stuff they really should not be doing. I see a lot of videos. I always get tagged in them. There's guys that are, running in front of the firing line or dodging bullets. I saw a guy get shot in the arm the other day in a training video. Be really, really careful. There's some really high speed guys out there that are great, but there's also ones that should not be doing what they're doing. And so be really, really mindful of that. So a lot of stuff, you can get stuff online. So YouTube's great. So, Bear Solutions, I really, really like what he does. T-Rex Arms, Garand Thumb, Mil-Spec Mojo does really, really good stuff. These are really high-end guys. And so, you'll learn a lot from them, and then you can do dry fire, and then you can figure out, and a lot of them, like T-Rex Arms does a lot about like gear, which is really, really great. And they also produce their own gear. They sell gear. Also, they supported our rights here in Oregon. So T-Rex Arms is one I really recommend is, because his brother Lucas, he testified in Harney County, and he didn't charge us for that. He was just there as an expert witness, did a really, really good job. And so I'm going to spend my money with them. I have one of their battle belts, which I really love. And so, just something to think about. It's all an investment. And one thing to think about with this stuff, if we buy right, and you're spend a little money up front, but you're going to buy once, and then you're not going to have to worry about it. You're not going to have to worry about failures unless it's just you wear the crap out of it, So buy good gear, okay? Retention of my holster, nylon holsters, leather holsters are not good holsters, okay? The reason I say that is nylon holsters, typically you'll get them at a Cabela's, a Bi-Mart. That's a universal holster. Retention is not good. It does not, they have a little strap with a snap. That's not a good holster, okay? So if you have one of those, check into a good Kydex holster, okay? It's really, really important. The holster is what helps prevent anything getting into my trigger guard. That's an extra form of safety, okay? Really, really important. And so, that's something that to be really, really mindful of. Mag carriers. I always have a mag carrier. I always have extra magazines. Always, 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 always. Even if I'm carrying a Glock 17, have extra magazines, okay? What happens if I have a bad magazine? What if I have a malfunction? What if I need more than the 17 or 18 rounds that are in the gun? Having an extra magazine is really, really important, okay? The flashlight I really love. Yeah, active self-protection. Absolutely. He's John Correa. He is super good, okay? So this is the one I use right here. This is a Surefire Stiletto Pro. It's a 1,000 lumens. It's rechargeable. Typically what I'm doing on all my batteries for every optic, every flashlight I have, I'm switching over to rechargeables, and I have a routine. So if I go on the road, I'm making sure that I plug in my batteries. I'm charging up my batteries, or at least I check the condition of the batteries, make sure they have enough juice. Okay. It's just part of my preparation for going on the road. So it's something to think about. And this thing is, this is, super bright, and so, and it has the strobe function. You know what I mean? So really, really good option for you. Okay. And so if I use it appropriately, and it's going to help me in a situation where it's going to help me get out of that situation. It's going to help me identify if that's a valid threat. It also could help me de-escalate a situation by giving me the time to get out, so just something to think about, typically what I do when I'm driving my vehicle, as soon as I get in the vehicle, I lock the doors. Okay. My phone is in my pocket. Then I can put my phone on my charger, or I can do anything I need to do once I have those doors secure. And it's not because I'm paranoid. It's just, I want to prevent unauthorized access to my vehicle. Okay. Really, really important. And so, that's, as the seasons change, it gets darker earlier, proper lighting and where I park the vehicle is really, really important, because that's going to help, keep me out of these dangerous situations. Okay. So, that's why, especially when I work with women, I really push the fact that if I can set myself up for success and have, good gun, good holster, flashlights, I park appropriately, I make sure I'm aware of my surroundings, I'm seeing that threat at a distance, so I can, give them space, get help if I need help. Those are going to help keep me safe, and this is stuff in reality we should be teaching our teens right now. So if you have teenagers, you should be talking about threats. You should be talking about situational awareness. You should be talking about, the way traffickers are using different ways to, get people into the vans to get them gone, so that's a real problem. So be aware of that and make sure you're building strong teens. Okay. Because they're going to go off to college, or they're going to go out on their own, and they need these skills, so they're not put in a position where they're going to be victimized. And so it's really, really easy if you just start young and you're just talking about situational awareness. You're aware. They have a routine when it comes to their phones in the pocket. They're not like looking for Pokemons in the parking lot. That's not necessarily safe. Okay. So, that's just me. So how'd I do? Did I cover it all? Anything else I need to cover? Or do you guys have any tips you want to give me? So that's something that I want to talk about. So 1,000 rounds of ammo in 2020. That's wild. Yep. Obviously be careful of that, because obviously you want to make sure that that kid's not taken from you, and it's really, really important. And but have that capability. Have the ability to stop rounds if you need to. Okay. Case and cable locks. That's a good way to keep it secured. One thing to think about the cable locks, okay, is a lot of these meth heads, these people that ride bikes in the middle of the night, they're going to have some sort of cutter. They cut bike locks all the time, so just be aware. That's not the end all be all. So yeah, that's a great, yeah, absolutely. So this is a really great thing. So we're talking about situational awareness. Like if I'm in a restaurant, if I go to a movie theater, like I always have something to my back. Okay, I have a way to make sure that nobody can come from behind. And I'm always watching exit points, entry points. Okay, and so that's a really good. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a really, really important point. So I'm back against the wall or someplace where, and I can visibly see what's happening around me. And it's not because I'm looking for like a fight. I'm just like, we have to understand Cooper's color of a situation awareness, and I can put a link in here. So if you guys don't understand, we should be yellow to orange at all times, right? In between yellow and orange, where we're aware of what's happening, but we don't want to be in alert. But we never want to be in white. Okay, it goes from white to red. Okay, and I'll post a link in this video so you guys can see that. Most military guys, most law enforcement guys are going to do that. I don't even think about colors anymore. I'm tuned up when I'm in public. Boom, I'm like this. I'm watching. I'm like a bird dog. It helps me. It helps me feel better about things. Yeah. Might as well. I know people to do. It's not wild. Uh, yes. And this is a mindset, right? And this is something, a lot of times it can be taught, but a lot of time it's instinctive. And a lot of it is we do it, as parents, as we're bringing up our children, as we're wanting them to be, safe and protected. And so that's something that's really, really important there, and so, the biggest thing with the rifle and the vehicle is obviously probably I keep it cased typically. I mean, I have different capabilities that I can do, but I keep it cased and out of view. And I always never leave any firearm inside the vehicle overnight. Okay. Even if it's in a locked storage container, bring it in, because you don't want somebody breaking in there. Don't have any. Okay. I'm glad I was thinking about this thought. Do not have gun stickers on your vehicle. Okay. Do not. The reason I say that, obviously they look cool. You're advertising for the companies. That makes you a target. Okay. That tells somebody that's walking by your street, oh, he's got a Glock sticker. Let's break in there. There potentially could be a gun. Okay. So I don't want anybody knowing I'm armed. Okay. It's nobody's business. Okay. It's, be really, really, really careful there. And so, I have been worse about wearing gun shirts out in public. I've been wearing, my sponsor shirts out in public, because I'm proud to represent the brands. I'm proud of their products. I'm proud of the support, which could, and plus it's conversation piece, right? I want to I'm loud and I'm proud and I'm a gun owner. Okay. So if I'm wearing a shirt and it either I get a thumbs up from a guy and we talk about it, right? It's good. But if I get somebody that doesn't know anything about guns, that really is like, why do you have that shirt on? Why are you wearing an Aero Precision shirt? And it's like, it gives me an opportunity to talk about guns, to talk about my rights, and talk about, and maybe if I introduce the information in a positive way that they're not used to, maybe I'm not going to totally convert them, but maybe they'll see a different perspective, and maybe they'll think twice when they see that Moms Demand Action email. So that's kind of why I've been wearing these gun shirts. Typically, I don't like to draw attention to myself, because I don't want anybody knowing I'm armed. Like the gray man it's a cool thing. But I've been doing it just for conversation as of late, because it's something that I feel that we're always villainized, and I don't want to be a villain. I want to be a good person, and so that's where it's really, really important we're able to put a face to gun owners when we're in public, and represent an appropriate way. So that's kind of where I'm at. So Let's see, active self backup generators. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is really, really good. So a lot of stuff that we talk about is, what societal unrest. What happens if the grid goes down? What happens if we go out? Having the ability to power our freezers, right? Because if we have a stockpile of food, we don't want that to go bad. So backup generators are really, really important. And that is a really, really great thing. So thank you for bringing that. So next one, another one. So schedule, right? So what I typically do on mine is I am every probably 6 months, I'm going to rotate my carry ammunition. I have a stockpile of my carry ammunition that I buy. Typically buy the same brand. I try to keep it the similar. Put them, they're climate controlled. And what I'll do is I'll swap out, I'll shoot those, and what I'll do is I'll maintain my magazine. So I'll take the base plates off, make sure my spring is good to go, check my follower, clean my follower, make sure there's no issues there, and then I'll reload. So obviously maintenance on your magazine is really, really important. Just make it part of you could do it on a Sunday or when you have some downtime. It doesn't take long. But it's all part of this mindset that we're trying to talk about today. And so, yeah. So I don't know who did this. So Rick, let me get to you in just a minute. Yeah. So this is really teach your daughters. Okay. Teach your daughters to be really, really strong women. Okay. Another thing about your daughters, and I preach is teach your daughters to pick really good mates. Okay. I know it's hard, because the next generation, but make sure they pick great mates. Okay. So great mates are going to be protectors. They're not going to be abusers, so there's a lot that goes into that. So how, as a dad, make sure you steer your daughters in a good way. It's going to help you going down in the future. So let me get to this one real quick. Jeff. No, I feel I feel that they are going to act very fierce, and I feel that they are going to crush Hamas. My fear is how there's going to be squirters that are going to get to other parts of the world, or there's going to be sympathizers. One thing I've been watching, and watch what's happening in this country, where there's the people that are coming out and protesting the Jews. There's been some really, really horrible stuff, and it's been on college campuses, Harvard, DC. There was in New York City. AOC is in hot water right now because of some of her positions, and so I'm hoping that she can get forced out. That would be amazing if we could make that happen, because she is a problem. But understand, there's definitely like a communist Marxist type mentality and mindset with these youth that's really, really dangerous to the fabric of our society. So be aware of that. And so can't talk right now. Sorry. So another capability. Another capability is night vision. Night vision, it's like a superpower. It costs a lot of money, but that's another great option for you. So check in there. T-Rex R has been doing some really good videos on night vision, so check them out. Yeah, I believe so, and that's the benefit of a dark home is the layout of your home. Okay, so and that's the benefit of a weapon mounted light is you're projecting that light away from you, because you wake up in the middle of the night, you hear a bump in the night, you wake up, it's going to take time for your eyes to acclimate, right? And so depending on how bright the flashlight is you're going to get wash out. It's going to come back on you. It could kind of disorient you. But if you have a bright weapon mounted light and you're projecting it on that threat or to identify that threat, that's going to be a way to de-escalate a situation. You can force compliance that way. It's really, really important. So understand how I can give commands to comply. I don't have to press that trigger. And that's what's really, really important to understand is I look for every option to avoid pressing that trigger because of obviously the legal aspect of that, so whatever you can do to set yourself up where you're going to be successful without, I mean, sometimes we're not going to have the ability to avoid that. And there's been numerous examples of people using their gun in self-defense because they had no other option. And I think that's one thing I want you guys to realize today is our guns, they're a tool of last resort. So we have no other option. Okay. It's either him or I or my family. So that's where, we're not just looking to shoot somebody. Okay. We're looking to avoid the situation if we can, but if there's no avoidance because of that threat, then we would have to take appropriate action. I'm not telling what you do. I'm not telling you what to do. This is not legal advice. I'm just talking about this in a way that it's going to make sense to people. So that's what I want to get to today, is just as part of the mindset. Nope. Not really, Summer. The way I look at this, right? Let's talk about porcupines. Are you familiar with the porcupine, right? So porcupine, they're harmless because I can pet them this way, right? I can go with the spines, nothing would happen, right? If I go against the spines, that's when I get pricked. And so, part of what I do in my everyday routine to protect myself and keep myself safe is I'm setting myself up for success by not having to operate from a defensive situation, right? So if they know that I have potentially guns inside the home or inside my vehicle because I have stickers, I'm already going to be in a position where I'm potentially going to have to defend. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is mitigate risk. Everything I'm doing and everything I'm talking about today is mitigating risk. Okay. So if I can take away, like, don't advertise that you have guns inside the vehicle. I think that's not a really a good plan. And so, but at the end of the day, Summer, I can't tell you what to do. I'm just trying to offer insight and perspective. So if you want to keep those stickers on and you feel that that's a value add to your life, then keep those stickers on. I'm not saying you're wrong. And so, that's what's really, really important. Yeah. Hey, Corey, I haven't seen you in a while, dude. I hope everything's good, man. So absolutely. Yep. Oh, and plus, okay, so a great example of this, Corey, with a weapon mounted light is what happens. Like, somebody kicks in the door in the middle of the night, right? I'm not going to have time to grab an extra magazine. I'm not going to have time to do all this stuff. I want to grab what I have and get to investigate as quickly as possible. And so that's the benefit of having a weapon mounted light, is everything's contained on the firearm, and that's going to help keep me safe. One thing that I think about with the weapon mounted light, if you're running a red dot, make sure you can see that red dot, with your light. So you're gonna have to set your your brightness settings to make sure that you can still see that red dot if you're shining your light inside the home. So check that out. That's what I recommend, because that's what I do. I set all my dots so I can see them with or without the light. So something to think about. Also daylight, if I ever had to use my gun in defense in the daytime, I want to be able to see that dot. So set that up appropriately. So really, really important. We could spend 2 hours talking about this stuff. Everybody's got different ideas but I appreciate us having this conversation. And I hope this helped you guys. Something that was on my heart this morning and last night as I went to bed, because obviously I want my state to be safe, and I want the people that I know and I care about to be safe, and you guys are part of that, so we're all in this together, so okay, let's talk about that. So I buy a quality firearm. Okay. I spend the money. I buy one that I'm not going to have to worry about. Okay. And I find myself, I run a Glock for my EDC. I trust the brand. I've been carrying them for 20 years, And so that's, that's what I recommend. I'm not going to, I never recommend like a Ruger. Um, there's guns that are made for fighting, and then there's guns. Okay. And there's gun like SIG, Glock, FN, Springfield Armory. Those guns are more geared towards fighting guns. And so that's the ones I would recommend. They have better safety features on them. They're more reliable. I can dry fire with them. So there's things that are really, really important. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll do a refresher on that. Yeah, yes, thank you, Corey. Shooty shoot, yeah. So that's what I recommend is obviously there's budget guns. There's like SCCYs. I'm not a fan. I don't feel that they are really, really comfortable, and they're not user friendly. And so buy a, a good quality firearm, because obviously your life and your families. I mean, but everything's budget specific, right? So depending on your budget. So if I could spend, $700 to $800, I could have a quality concealed handgun. I could have a quality belt that would, keep that, retained on my person. I'd have a quality holster. I would have, I typically what I'm doing as well is I'm upgrading my sights. So the first thing I would do is, before I carry a gun, and put it into my rotation for carry guns, is I make sure that I shoot it. I get a couple hundred rounds through it, make sure there's no functions from the factory that I need to be aware of, issues there, upgrade the sights. So I have a process that I do when I'm bringing new guns into because I like guns. I collect guns. It's a thing. And so, but I trust this thing. I trust this thing to protect myself, also kids, if I'm working with children, because what I do with my nonprofit, so having the ability to protect is really, really important to me. So I have quality equipment. So spend the money, buy quality equipment. 1911s, problem with the 1911 is obviously that manual safety. There's two safeties on the gun. The amount of recoil, if it's a 45 ACP, the ammunition capacity. So there's a lot that goes into this. Typically I'm going to carry a gun, as big a gun as I can carry concealed on me comfortably, with as many rounds as I can carry inside the gun. So that's why I used to, like during the summertime, like last summer, not this summer, but the summer before, I would carry a Glock 48. It's 10+1. But with the things kind of changed for me in society, and some things that I had with some threats. So I decided to just change my wardrobe and go with a little bit looser fitting clothes, obviously. And I've gone to a Glock 17 full time. And that's during the summertime. That's during the winter time, during the fall time. So all the time I carry a Glock 17. And so that's for just my personal safety and my my personal perspective. Everybody's got a different guns. H&K makes a great gun as well. The problem with the H&K is a magazine release. I'm not a huge fan. So something to think about there. And so medical is really, really important. We talked about it a little bit, tourniquets, chest seals, combat gauze, the gloves. These are all really, really important. IFAKs, an individual first aid kit. Those are really, really important. Know how to use those. Okay. This is not medical training today. I do not do medical training. I'm trained myself, but I do not advise others. There's professionals that do that. Seek professional training on that. Okay. That's what I will say. Okay. Is tourniquets really, really important. Incorporate them in your daily routine, because you're more likely to need a tourniquet than a gun. Just make sure you get the training first. Okay. And so, hey, Vinny, how you doing? So Vinny, this guy, I'm glad he's here, because he's a very prepared individual, and sorry to call you out on that, but so he has some really great tips, tactics. This is a guy that if you have any questions, I would feel comfortable recommending to him. And so absolutely. So, vet your instructors, stop the bleed. That's a basic remedial. We're talking about how to apply, how to plug wounds, like that's in the torso, tourniquets for the extremities. Really, really basic. I recommend that. Really recommend that, just so you can kind of understand the process and then get more experience training. Okay. There's some guys that do like combat medical. That's a good stuff. Pretty high speed though. And so just be really careful, because you're dealing with people's, people's life are on the line in that situation, in that moment of crisis. And obviously we do have Good Samaritan laws that do protect us, but we also don't want to be held negligent. You never ever. That's why I don't talk about medical. I lead people to medical for medical training. I know what I'm going to do because of my training, and that's for me. So it's just a lot. It's a lot to think about. And this is like, this one right here, Brent, thank you for this. Give me a second. So I'm gonna show you the holster. So this is the one I use. This is a Filster Floodlight. Okay. What I love about this holster is this is a universal inside the waistband holster. Okay. And so with this, if I buy it for the X300, which is a Surefire light. Okay. So whatever gun that I carry, as long as it mounts with that X300, it can go in this holster. So I could run it on a CZ. I could run it on a SIG. This is a really great holster. You save money that way. I have them on my outside, my battle belt as well, because it's a universal holster. You'll spend a lot of money on holsters, and so I figured out quickly that if I spend like $130 on this holster and set it up, I'll be able to use it on a Glock 19. I could use it on the Glock 17. I could use it on all these different guns, as long as that because what it does is it indexes to the flashlight, and so check this out. This is a great holster. Filster is one of my guys. All of my holsters are Filster holsters. So I got the Filster Pro Series, which is a great holster without a light, and that's for a Glock 19 or a Glock 17. I also have the Filster Summit, which is outside the waistband. Super great holster. They're not the cheapest. I mean, you're looking, 75 to 130, sometimes up. And so, that's, and everything I'm doing today, it's my personal preference, right? So you might find something that you've done in your life and your career, which makes more sense. I'm just trying to have a conversation about it. So like, really like this stuff, Mike Schurz, I'm not familiar with him. And so, Vinny's stuff is here. I'm going to highlight it. Okay. So you guys can seek out this guy. So if he does online training, that's great. That's awesome. Absolutely. Buy once, cry once, Jim, 100%, so that's typically what I would do. And a quality belt. So the belts I run are made by Core Essentials. They're Kore Essentials, and they're $50 to $60. They're great, and they're ratcheting, so I can let it out if I need to, if I had too big of a burrito, or I can suck it down. So they're a great belt. You want something rigid, and so that's something to think about. Let me get you in just 1 second, Travis. Backup handgun. I carry a Ruger L39. I know people that do that. Pocket guns. I do. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, so M&P makes another good gun. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. That would be a good gun. And so Substack, yeah, put it in here, Vinny. I'd love to see it. I started a Substack too as well. So I'm starting to do that as well to get more information out. So I know people that do carry pocket guns, pocket heaters. I'm not a revolver guy. It's just I just carry extra magazines. So my question for you, Robert, are you carrying backup magazines, spare magazines? So, and so, what are you doing for backup magazines, spare magazines? This one right here, I'm not a 380 fan. Okay. I'll tell you why. Okay. So we look at what happened during COVID. COVID was a very important learning experience for a lot of us, right? So during COVID, they quit making 380 because the 380 is the same bullet typically as a 9mm. A 9mm is a NATO round. So I saw 380 disappear. When I did find it, it was about $1 a round. Okay. I standardize all my ammunition. Okay. So I don't have 80 different calibers. Okay. I mean, some people collect, when I'm talking for my defense, I have 12 gauge, 5.56, 9mm, 300 blackout. Okay. You know, my 12 gauge, I have slugs or double aught buck. Okay. I keep it simple. Okay. That way I don't have 80 different calibers that I have to worry about. 380 is not the one that I would buy a 9mm. Okay. There's nothing a 380 will do that a 9mm won't. My favorite, like small compact 9mm would be like Glock 48. That's really my favorite. It's a single stack 10+1. Really love it. And so, you know, that's something to think about. So, cool. Absolutely. I would love that, Vinny. I incorporate a satellite phone. That's my newest thing. And so that gives me a little bit extra capability in the event of something were to happen. 2 extra mags. That's good. Always recommend extra magazines, you know. And so Travis, 9mm. 9mm. Even when I'm working with women, I still try to steer them in a 9mm just because of the availability of the ammunition. I can go in any store in the state typically and find 9mm. So that's why I'm going to recommend 9mm. So, you know, yes, right here. So the gun part, the video today talked a lot of stuff about preparation, right? So there's more than just the firearm. The firearm is just a tool. You know, your mind is the weapon. And so, you know, having the ability to you know, put everything together is going to be really important for your survival and increases your survivability. So medical supplies, you know, buy them. You know, I have many medical kits. I got some really high end ones that I like, and I have them. They're end of the world type scenario type stuff. You know, if I use them, I make sure that I replenish what I use. And so, yes. You know, this is, you know, Vinny's a guy that I trust in the group that has a lot of varied experience and a very great mindset. And so if you guys, you know, follow him, he has some good advice. He has a Substack, which Vinny, put your Substack in here, please. And we'll highlight it so people can see. He does stuff with search and rescue. That's a really important, you know, cause you get to learn land navigation. You have a network, you get to be out there. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. You know, the problem, I see a lot of guys with the Gucci gear that I get yeeted by somebody with a high point. You know what I mean? So, you know, just because I have all this stuff doesn't mean I'm going to keep all this stuff if I make a mistake. So it's just, you got to be prepared, and being prepared is making sure you can get out of that situation. Best gunfight, and I'll say it again, best gunfight I can ever get into is the one I can avoid. And so set yourself up accordingly. Okay. So pepper spray, that is a thing. If I do pepper spray, it's going to be a gel. Okay. I don't like the mist. I do like a gel. Palm makes a good one. Saber is another good one. Not a huge fan, but if you're in a gun-free zone or at work where I can't carry a gun, that might be an option for you. Tasers, it's legal in the state of Oregon to have the ones like law enforcement that shoot the taser, the prongs. I would be concerned about some liability there. Like if I injured somebody or caused serious permanent damage to somebody, I could be liable for that. And obviously, this is not legal advice. This is why I stay away from those two things. Okay. That's why I'm talking about it. So, we've been going for quite a bit. So I hope this all makes sense. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed speaking with you guys about this topic. This is a very important topic. Always be learning. Okay. Always be learning. Good. So put it in here, Vinny, please, when you're done. So, you know, that's where I'm at, is always be learning. Technology's constantly changing when it comes to carry guns, optics, lights, night vision, so something to think about. Everything's always changing. So what we used to use 3 to 4 years ago, there's going to be a new version that's going to be a better version. So just think about that. Batteries, excuse me, battery maintenance is really, really important, so make sure that you're maintaining your batteries. Mm, mm, mm. This right here. Yes. Krav Maga Salem is another lady that I really like. Sheena Williams, she does a great job, fellow instructor. So whatever if you can do some jiu-jitsu, if you can figure out that your ground game, that's a really, really good way to keep control of the situation. So that's a very effective tool as well, as being able to de-escalate through arm bars, chokes, stuff like that. That's a great way of being able for you to defend yourself without having to use your firearm. So you got to have all these different tools. Really, really important. So thank you, Vinny, for coming on here. You had some really great points. So that's perfect. So yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and thanks for bringing other parts to the conversation. So, but it's just having that mindset, and the mindset is probably the most important part, so, thanks for tuning in. It was something that was important to talk about this with you guys, and it was from my heart, and I hope it helped. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. I've got other stuff I got to do. I got another meeting, and just watch what's happening around us in our society. Okay. So be aware tomorrow. Change your routine tomorrow. So if you have a date planned to go to the mall or someplace, a gun-free zone, go to the movies, maybe think twice, maybe just stay home and watch movies at home. Don't put yourself in that situation where, something could happen. Don't put your safety in other people's hands. Okay. Be responsible for your own safety. Make sure you incorporate your firearm for your safety. And so really, really important. So today when I carry and when I'm out in public, I'm going to have my firearm, extra magazines, my blade, my flashlight. I'm going to put my medical kit on me, right? So I'm going to have that on my ankle. So I'll have the ability to render any kind of first aid if I need to. So that's all part of this mindset that we need to do. And so that's going to help keep you safe. It's going to help keep others safe. And it's ultimately going to do more to help society than any of these laws that they're proposing. So just remember that. Smoke bombs. There are civilian flashbangs. I've seen that. I have friends that have it's kind of a gimmicky. I mean, I think there's some relevance there. I just haven't done it myself just because of the expense, and that's money that takes away from other stuff that I could be doing. So I mean, you could. I feel that a good flashlight in the right lighting environment that could do just as much as like a smoke bomb, in reality. And yeah, I could see that, Vinny. I don't think you're wrong. I guess I haven't incorporated that in my kit yet. So I think my biggest fear there is just being in the crowd right now. So I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to do whatever I can to avoid the crowds. So absolutely, Danny. Absolutely. We're all in this together. We can help support each other. We can help support law enforcement. We can be a solution. Always be an asset, not a liability. Everything that we're trying to talk about today, be an asset, not a liability. So if you can take one thing away from this video, set yourself up for success. Okay. Have the tools, have the training, have the capability, and hoping you don't have to use it. Okay. No, that's fine. I appreciate the conversation, Vinny, 100%. And maybe this is something where if people enjoy this video, maybe this is something where we could share a screen and we can kind of go back and forth and do a video sometime where these are really good things that, you brought up some really great points, and maybe we can expand upon them together if people find interest in this stuff. I'm just doing it because of what's happening and what I've seen active threats from around the world, and so that's why I brought it up today, just to think about it, right? And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I want you guys to be prepared just in case. So that's everything's about preparation. You know, if I set myself up and I'm prepared, the likelihood of me needing it go down because I have a plan, right? Because remember, Mike Tyson says everybody has the best laid plan until they get punched in the mouth, and there is some reality to that. So you know, that's where I'm so let's figure that out. What I'll do is I'll ask the group, see what they think about it. I mean, because I don't want to, like, everybody's about advocacy, and there's a lot of instructors here. There's a lot of, everybody's got different tips, and maybe we can do a round table. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I can moderate and have all these other people that have other experiences, and maybe we can do like a round table. I don't know. I'm just bringing it up for thought and talk. So I don't know what it looks like. We'll see if the people resonate with this video and if this makes sense, and if there's interest, then maybe we can do that. So just something to think about there. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been over an hour, and I appreciate you letting me talk for this long. But be safe, be prepared, and keep your head on a swivel, and make sure you're aware of your surroundings, and give yourself an out. Okay. So when I'm talking about give yourself an out, make sure you can get out of that situation. I'm at a stoplight. I don't pull up right directly behind that person that's in front of me in the stoplight. I have an option where I can go to a turn pocket. I can go up on a sidewalk if I have to. So give yourself an out always. And so, something to think about. Yeah. Yeah. So I would think about that, because my skill set and my mindset's a little bit different than some others, so, whatever we could do, obviously, I don't know. I don't want super high speed stuff, because there's people that are not super high speed here. This group is for education, advocacy, stuff like that. But if we could give some really like basic stuff that, doesn't bring liability, because I'm really big on liability. So I don't like the stuff that I'm telling you today. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you, this is what I do in my life. Right. So if this makes sense in your life, you can do the research on your own. There's YouTube, there's other places, you can reach out for clarification. That's what I try to do. I try not to say, this is what you should do, because obviously litigation purposes. So, that's where I would be really, really specific, especially medical. Like, bad stuff happens with people that don't know medical, that talk medical. Okay. I've seen enough of it. So that's where I'm never going to go that direction. Okay. So everything, if we do anything like a roundtable, it should be factual, relevant information. We're not talking Weaver stances. We're not talking, you know what I mean? It's got to be relevant with today's current training standards. I guess that's where I would go with it. Okay. Obviously there's a lot of people that still know the Weaver. Is there other ways to skin this cat? Yes, there is. And so that's where I would kind of advocate that we make sure that everything we're going to present, if we do present this stuff, it's all current with today's standards for either law enforcement or military. And do it in a way where average soccer mom or, new gunner would understand. So absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So Vinny, I do it on both. Oh, perfect. So check this out. So this is Vinny's Substack. Okay. So you guys can subscribe to him. You can see he's got some really good stuff. Okay. So, I highlighted it here. So check it out. Check out his website. And so if you guys have any questions, perfect. I like it. So that's really, really important. So I got to get off here. I've been talking too much. But thanks for talking with me. And I hope this video helps you pray, keep your family safe, keep yourself safe, and, mitigate risk as best you can. That's all I can say. So mitigate risk by being at home, right? So, go from home to work and work to home. Okay. So that's what we do. So, all right. And watch out for gun-free zones. They're killers. So that's all I got. So you guys have a great day. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Let me get this stuff out and let me speak from my heart. And I hope it helps. Thank you. Have a good day.